Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of No Tie C-Suite, and we have a really interesting question that's been thrown up at us today, and it's really just quite general in many respects, but it's about the issues facing established businesses in changing times. And we certainly have had some changing times in the past couple of years. So we thought we'd bring a special guest in today to help us out. She is the CEO of Navigate Biz. She's a business mentor, a business growth strategist, and she has an incredible business that is really looking after entrepreneurs and exciting them. It's something she has a passion for. And welcome to Joanne Brooks. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really delighted to be here, and it's a good topic to chat about. Thank you. Very topical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I suppose we can just kick things off right away and say, well, what an interesting couple of years that's been had by everyone. And the rate of change has been enormous. And I think what we have to realize is that impact, particularly on small and medium businesses, is quite huge and significant, and one that is, in some respects, for some people, leaving a trail of destruction, and in others, they're forging ahead. And the question is how you forge ahead, Joanne.
Yes, great leading question here. Look, the first thing that comes to my mind is this thing up here, is mindset. Being in business, and this is not meant to be flippant, but being in business is intrinsically means that you're going to be subject to change. It doesn't matter what it is. Like with us located here in Australia, we've all experienced the weather that impacts us massively, particularly for those of us who are in Queensland and Southeast Queensland. We've had floods continually in the last few months. There's fires, there's GFCs, there's all those sort of things. So notwithstanding, not to downplay the impact of the pandemic, but I think a lot of business owners, if they can have their mindset set in the growth mindset, and so many other layers that we can talk about, that actually gives them a tool to deal with the things that come at us every day. Because change, challenge, chaos, as well as the thriving and the joyfulness and all those sort of things that come with business ownership, they come at us constantly. And so it's the first thing we always talk about whenever we're mentoring, whenever we're developing programs. The first thing we always talk about is, where's your mindset? And then giving them some tools about how do they improve their mindset so that they can work their way through this journey of what a lot of people would say is a very challenging time. So that's super important for us.
Yeah, I think the narrative that you fall into really dictates how you're going to, stand up for business each and every day. And it's easy to fall into whether it's a victim mentality or woe is the world, or there's a way of, getting on and looking at opportunities. And I suppose the biggest thing is making sure your business is geared up for that you're actually putting things aside. And Yuriy, you've won for definitely getting those systems correct.
Yeah. Well, just on that note, I think that change should start in unchanging times when things are steady and right. This is the hardest part. This is the hardest times to move changes, because what I hear, or what we hear in our business all the time, on the question, why are you doing things this way? The most popular answer is because things always have been this way. And this is the trap. The changing world is a force. It's a great force to change business. It may feel hard, but it forces business and the world to improve. While the quiet times I think are the most dangerous for the business. This is where it gets a little bit of mold time to time, which grows then massively.
Yeah, you're right there. I think when things are quiet, you can get a little bit complacent, and you think, it's not broken, so why do we need to fix it? And what I love what you just said there, what came to my mind was the constant innovation that you need to be looking at in your business. How can I continually evolve, find more customers, get more diversity in product, get more diversity in how I get paid, where I get paid, and where are my customers? That's that constant innovation that you've got to be on top of all the time.
Pierre, if I can just bring you in, because I think that one of the keys here for business, as well as making sure they've actually put some money aside so that it allows for the possibility for these things to happen, because otherwise, if you're just reacting all the time, that's a dangerous position to be in, because what you might need is not necessarily there.
Very true, Anthony. I think it's a kind of, as we mentioned in the last couple of years, the kind of focus and the drain on a business cash flow has been incredible. You know, we've had periods where one of my customers, where during the January with the, call it the voluntary stay at home, you know, they struggle significantly because they rely on foot traffic, they rely on call it office workers coming through. So that puts an incredible amount of strain on the business cash flow, and this is where that planning and having those reserves available, you know, becomes an incredibly important thing. As Yuriy and Joanne mentioned as well, whenever you want to affect change, there's potentially always going to be a slight dip, because customers are used to dealing with you a certain way. So if you change things, there might be some hesitancy from their side. There might be some impact there as well. So you need to have those reserves there to carry you through, and to make sure that when you get to the other side, your business is stronger, and then you can grow further from there.
Joanne, it's such an interesting time to be, I guess, in the early phases of a business. And I know you deal with a lot of entrepreneurs who are in those early stages of business. How do you ride those sort of times? When, you know, is it a bad time to have chosen to have started up a business? Because I don't think so. I see you shaking your head. It's not. It's a great time, isn't it?
Never better. Absolutely. No. And yes, so I guess you've possibly heard, I know you've heard me say this analogy before. I'm a big believer that, you know, the analogy being, if you're going to build a house and you only put surface layer foundations in, and then you want to go to level 2, level 3, and, you know, turn it into a high rise, that house is going to be susceptible to the winds and the weather, and it will fail. And so, you know, what people know is they've got to put deep, strong foundations in to build that building. And yet it puzzles me as to why people approach their business in the same, not with that concept, you know, very surface level foundation. So what we are huge advocates are, if you're going to start a business, and I often use this analogy because it's handy, you love a pen and you love this thing, what it's going to do for you, you can sell it. But do you know how to run the business that supports the sale of this pen? And that's what a lot of small business, and we've seen a lot of entrepreneurs entering the market due to COVID because they might have been laid off, lost their job, you know, all the things that we've heard of the stories. We're talking about this wave of business owners appearing. And what I fear is that there's a lot of complacency, naivety about, you know, business ownership is hard. Now, I'm not going to tell anybody that we're going to make it easy, but you can certainly make the lumpy bit smoother if you have good foundations, be part of a business network that actually, if you've got strong, solid foundations, understanding all the aspects of business, and the first one is mindset, the second one is, why do you want to sell this pen? What is the sale of this pen going to enable you to do? Is it that you love the pen? Is it that the income that it's going to give you is going to enable you to have a better life, a better quality of life for your family, do philanthropic things, bigger goals? And what we want small business owners to think is to stop using the word small, get rid of it, because when you think small goals, you're limiting your mind's eye. You want to see the big opportunities. You want to grab them. When people are now not able to walk into your store, how do they know to find you? Think big, get on the screen, start talking to customers, use the video. You know, there's a lot of expansive thinking that we want our business owners to consider, that it's not just, I love the pen, I'm going to sell it, I'll whack up a website, surely they'll come. Well, we know they won't.
No, it's an interesting one, isn't it? That's often what people believe is, right, just it's a bit like, you know, going back to the old days of the lemonade stand, right? If you set up a lemonade stand out the front of your house, does that mean you're suddenly going to be rolling in cash? Probably not. A few friendly neighbours, but you're not going to get...
sorry for you.
Yeah, you're not going to get too many. But I think one of the other interesting things that you hit upon there is also, it's the people that you surround yourself in. I think often underestimated is the value of the community that you're in. I think it's easy for people to say, oh, I've got to attend some networking events. And the problem with networking events is that most people go into those with a mindset of I'm going to get business out of it. Whereas if you go to more of a community style event with fellow business owners and you go in with a mindset of learning and sharing, then it can be a complete game changer for the way you operate.
Yeah, I know I've often been heard to say, if I'm going to go to a networking event, I need to go in interested, not interesting. So what can I learn from these people? How can I, it's always in my mind is, who can I collaborate with? Who can I co-create with? Because that just exponentially improves my target audience, that improve my product, my offer, my conversation. So, yeah, and a lot, as you say, a lot of people, you go to the old face-to-face networking, the first thing you got was a business card shoved in your face, and they don't want to hear what you have to say or what's interesting about you. So, I go to those events, and it's great that we can go to them again. Obviously, a lot more of them are on this screen, which I've certainly enjoyed that. And it's always with the thought processes, who can we work together with, that we can help each other with, and be open to the opportunity. Because like I've done some massive business with my largest competitors and done it really well, which a lot of people might think, why would you want to work with your competitors? Well, I'm in the industry, whatever product, pen, whatever service you deliver, you should be an industry expert. So you should know who are your competitors and what are their pain points. So maybe you can solve their pain point and you can help each other. It's just a quick thought bubble on that one, because working with my competitors has been incredibly successful. It's interesting. Not many people think of that approach.
Yeah, too many people sit and feel that. I think that's the one problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is they feel like they're running in a silo.
Yep,
and
that's
the opposite of what you should be feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yuri, I know I've seen you've had that experience of helping people get out of that, right? In terms of building them up.
Well, yes, that's I can tell on my own experience. Yes, sometimes it feels really being like carrying whole world on own shoulders without any help. And the team, I remember the moment when the first team member appeared and how this world has changed for me. And yes, the same for even with organization, with the team, sometimes there is a big disconnect between business owner or business leader and the team. And this is one of the very important aspects of the business, is to be in a community of people, like-minded people who share the same values pretty much. So it's probably a notorious statement now this day. We hear it a lot, but it means a lot. And it's a lot deeper than the surface of this, just to share the same values, the same vision. So really people need to believe what you believe in.
Yeah. Like we often speak to these young entrepreneurs, be loud and proud about why you started this business. What is the thing that you want to achieve? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And be loud and proud with that to your team. And whether that's team is advisory board, staff, suppliers, customers, doesn't really matter. Tell everybody, because as you say, you want to bring people into your community that are like-minded, who can go on the journey with you, not being dragged kicking and screaming, or seeing a bunch of words on a wall thinking, oh, I'm not really sure what that mission statement means. Like there's total disconnect there. And your customers will feel the difference when your team connect with it. And most likely those people you'll have longevity in that connection with those people in your business as well.
I think one of the things that also can't be underestimated, particularly when you're on that, when you're in the environment that we're in with change, is also to make sure that you do have mentors, that you do have outside influences that you're bringing into the business actively. We're all sitting here as consultants in some way, shape, or form or another, and so there is a bias there in terms of what we do, but that's the value that you get from bringing outside influences into it. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. I know we've got to wrap things up in just a moment, but I just wanted to give each of you a final say. And Pierre, if I can start with you, I mean, I guess that's the key, isn't it? It's bringing, it's having a budget that is going to be flexible to allow you to cope with a changing environment.
Yeah. Look, Anthony, I think from that point of view, from a finance point of view, for me, it's a case of saying to a business, you need to at least have some kind of plan. You need to have. I know sometimes it's like almost to say, the back of the serviette, or the old saying, the back of the cigarette box, which we don't do anymore nowadays. But it's that side of things. Going, at least have a plan. Have a case of going, hey, I want to sell this much. Don't go, hey, I want to sell $1 million in my first year. Well, how are you going to do it? What exactly are you going to do? And then in terms of costs, going, oh, I'll get a factory, I'll get this. Go, well, you need all those things need cash flow. They need money. You need to plan for these things. So, having a budget, or at least having a forecast there, and putting some thought around exactly how certain things are going to be achieved. I think one of the things as consultants and whether Joanne agrees with me or not is, I think sometimes especially with entrepreneurial people, their brain to a certain extent is quite creative. They think about a lot of these things, but the finance side almost says, it's just numbers. I don't want to deal with the numbers. But it becomes a very important part of it. And that's where, if you don't want to deal with it, like you said, get a consultant, get an advisory board, talk to someone who does like the numbers, talk to someone who can do the numbers for you and at least sense check it for you. And they might be a sounding board where you go, I'm going to get this factory. You go, well, yeah, you can get it, but you're not going to get it tomorrow. You wait a few months, get some money through the door, make sure it works for you, and then we look at it. So I think from that point of view, from a finance side, having that overview, and for us as consultants saying, hey, it might be short term, it might be long term, but you need to just have someone there as a sounding board that can review what you're thinking, and that's good at what they do. So,
Yuriy, any final thoughts?
Well, I would say the only thing that I can tell here on this subject is, don't get into the trap that innovation is something large and scary. Don't get into the trap that continuous improvement is something for corporates. Just keep asking every day how we can do it better. Slightly better, step by step, centimeter by centimeter. You don't need to do everyday huge hopes. So it's just one step at a time.
And Joanne, just a final thought. I think I agree thoroughly with Yuriy there that it's those little 1%ers that make the huge difference, and keeping entrepreneurs focused.
Yeah, and to connect all this together is, don't do business on your own. Surround yourself with the right people, but on the flip side of that, also distance yourself from the stuff that doesn't serve you. I'm sure everyone's on social media all the time. Get rid of the stuff that gives you the collywobbles, it feels as though they're not connecting with what you're doing, and that's people, and that's social media, and that's all the white noise of communication that's out there. Get the right team around you. As you say, you don't have to do everything today, but know what the big goal is. Get goals that scare the heck out of you, and then re-engineer them backwards so that you know what you need to do each day, every hour, and just take little steps, but do it with the right people to support you.
Yeah, I think just to sum it up, I think we talked a lot about the narrative in the beginning and surrounding yourself with the right story. And I think it's also about the story that you tell is also, from a marketing perspective, is incredibly important. And if you tell the right story, you're going to attract the right people, and your business is going to go gangbusters. Joanne, thank you so much for joining us, and we're encouraging people to continue to bring those questions to us, and we'll be back next time with another edition of No Tie C-Suite.